Do you have high cholesterol, or somebody in the family or your friends, somebody who you know and care about has high cholesterol? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you how to lower that to normal levels and or how to control it forever to stay in perfect levels, and what are the myths and truths about blood cholesterol levels to begin with. I'm going to cover all of that in this video, but before we go there, click the subscribe button, because on this channel, you're going to learn how to build a strong, healthy, high-performing physique as a successful entrepreneur. So hit that subscribe button and let's go. What's up, everyone? This is Coach Amir from 7figurebody.com, and in today's video, one of the most common questions I get and one of the most debated topics out there is blood cholesterol levels. So you probably know that a huge number, millions and millions of Americans and people around the world have higher than normal cholesterol levels. Now, of course, one of the myths about that is probably decades and decades long, is that when you eat fatty food, meaning anything that has fat in it, that is going to raise your cholesterol level. So the reason why your cholesterol or blood cholesterol level is high is because you're eating things like eggs and dairy and red meat and salmon, like fatty fish. And by the way, this is absolutely not true. This is a myth. I don't know how this escaped basically the mainstream, but since I think the 1960s, since then we have the scientific research that basically shows that the impact of the amount of fat that you eat through your food, so your dietary fat intake, has minimal to no effect on your blood cholesterol levels. Oh my God. I know, how is that possible? Is that true? Yes, it's absolutely true that how much fat you eat within normal conditions has minimum to no impact on your blood cholesterol levels. Okay, why? Simply because your liver is actually the organ that controls the amount of blood cholesterol there is. And if you eat a lot of fat, liver produces less of it. If, for example, if somebody goes vegan because they've been brainwashed that it's good for them, which it's not, but let's say that, vegan eats a very low fat diet because they cut out all the animal sources of food, and therefore they now have a low fat diet. And what happens is their liver says, hey, I need fats to live, because remember, fats are essential for life. Carbs are not. Protein and fats are essential for life. Carbs are not. Okay. So when they don't have enough fat, or when you have a low fat diet for whatever reason, your liver just produces more and regulates the blood cholesterol level back to whatever it needs to be. Okay. Now, of course, if that's the case, the second question is, okay, but if your dietary fat intake has minimal to no effect on blood cholesterol levels, why do all of these people have high blood cholesterol levels to begin with? Why is it? Why is their cholesterol high? Why is like dozens of millions of people are on Lipitor and all the bunch of other medications that lower cholesterol artificially through medication? Well, two reasons. Number one, probably by far the biggest one, is people are overweight. And remember, 80% of the adults in the US are overweight. 80%. 8 out of 10 people are overweight. The number one thing that gets somebody's cholesterol level to be higher than normal is being overweight. It's a common theme you will hear on this channel, because this is just basic physiology, that when you're overweight, all of your health parameters get worse. By far, the biggest impact on all of this is going to be how much body fat you have. So how much, basically, the fatter we get, the higher our fat percentage is, higher our blood pressure gets, higher the blood cholesterol gets, etc., etc. Now, when we go deeper with, what is obviously number one thing that you can do to reduce your blood cholesterol is lose weight. Get your body fat percentage down to a whatever is called the average or normal fat percentage for men, anywhere between 12 and 15%. For women, about 20 to 22, 23%. If you are a woman, you get to that fat percentage, 20 to 23. If you're a man and you get to 12 to 15%, chances are very high that your blood cholesterol level, your blood pressure, all other health parameters will be in the ideal range. Now, that is not all there is. It's the biggest part, but there is more. There is composition of your diet as well. So if somebody is staying lean by controlling their calories, but all of their fats come from processed trans fats they eat in McDonald's all day, yeah, their health is not going to be optimized, obviously, right? But the composition of the diet, what is the quality of the food you eat, actually has an impact on your LDL levels. Now, let's talk about the LDL and HDL. You've probably heard LDL are these particles of cholesterol that are very small, and it's called the bad cholesterol. And then you have the HDL, which is the bigger molecules that are known as the healthy cholesterol, right? So the idea is you want your HDL to be high, your LDL to be low. Now, of course, in the last like 20, 30 years, the idea was just look at the total cholesterol. This is absolutely incorrect. You should not look at only at your total cholesterol. Here's why. And just like, by the way, you should not look at your total testosterone level as a man. But we're gonna get to that in a second. But let's talk about LDL, HDL, and total cholesterol. Okay, so let's say you have your HDL, the good cholesterol, be really high because your diet is good, you're lean, you're active, like you're doing really healthy things, so your HDL gets high. Your good cholesterol is really high. On the other hand, all of these things also cause LDL, the bad one, to be low, which is a great thing. But let's say it's low to moderate, which is still good for when it comes to risk factors for health. Having it to low to moderate is very, very good. And your HDL gets high. Just your HDL being high can get your total cholesterol to be a little bit over above the top end of the normal range. If your doctor sees that, they're like, oh, this is bad, your total cholesterol is higher than what it's supposed to be. That's not a bad thing because your LDL is controlled and your HDL is high. That's by all means a good thing. So again, as I said, if you look at testosterone level, your total testosterone, it's good to know, but it's not end all be all. What is more important is look at your free testosterone versus total. Because again, if your total is good, but your free testosterone, the one you can actually use, is low, not bueno. On the other hand, if your free testosterone is actually good, but your total testosterone is low, it's not that big of a deal, right? So we have to look at a bit deeper into it and just be like, okay, total amount is all that matters. It's not. So for your cholesterol levels, because of this, for the last, probably 20 plus years, people have been saying correctly that total cholesterol is not all there is. I agree, it's not. But then they said, okay, what is it is your HDL versus LDL ratio, right? So when I look at the ratio between these two, and yes, it is a better measure of your health and overall cardiovascular health versus just looking at total. So just total cholesterol, doesn't really matter that much, okay? Next is your ratio of HDL and LDL. Obviously, we want the HDL to be high, LDL to be low. But in the last maybe 15 plus years, we have more research that actually shows the following. And by the way, this thing that I'm about to tell you right now is directly against all the carnivore and keto zealots these days that basically say, oh, steaks are awesome, red meat is great, eat 5 steaks a day, it doesn't matter. Well, that's not correct. It certainly does matter because we now know that your LDL, the quote unquote bad cholesterol, okay, is independently of all other factors on its own, it's a risk factor for heart disease. So all the things that we know that increase LDL are directly increasing also your risk of cardiovascular diseases, heart attacks, strokes, and all the other ones. So what does this mean? Well, this means that we know that things like red meat, like, basically animal products that have a lot of saturated fat and the types of fatty acids in them can raise your LDL cholesterol specifically, which in this case is going to raise your risk of cardiovascular diseases. So, by the way, the doctors or whoever that are promoting carnivore and keto and all, especially carnivore is actually even worse because there is this thing called nutritional ketosis, which I really have not much against. In nutritional ketosis basically means you're eating good amounts of meats, and even if they are fattier, that's okay, but some lean, and then add vegetables to that and salads and greens. Okay, that's much better than a regular, American diet. It's much better. However, most people don't do that. Of course, they don't add vegetables. They just, start eating a ton of red meat and steaks. Carnivore is actually way dumber and way worse than keto because carnivore says, no, you don't need vegetables or fruit or greens. You don't need any of that. Just meat all day long. Yeah, baby, 5 steaks all day, every day. Of course, that's not what everybody's saying, but unfortunately, that's what ends up that most people who are carnivore zealots, they're deep into it. That's what they end up doing. Well, that is absolutely not good for your health because we know that, again, LDL on its own, independent of all other things. Like there's research showing that people that have high LDL, regardless of high or low inflammation in their body, regardless of the HDL being low and high, regardless of all the other things, LDL on its own being higher is a higher risk of cardiovascular diseases compared to people who have a lower level of LDL cholesterol. So essentially, LDL on its own, as much as somebody's trying to tell you, oh, LDL doesn't matter, we should eat a ton of steaks, that is not true. Again, I'm not saying don't eat red meat. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, first, don't eat processed red meat, that is the worst because it has a lot of trans fats. Those are the ones that foods that have a lot of trans fats, which is basically junk food, processed food, fried, things that are fried, they have a lot of trans fats. Those are the things that will raise your LDL levels of cholesterol, that will directly increase your chance of heart attacks, all kinds of cardiovascular diseases. So LDL being on its own, independent of all other things, a negative thing is absolutely true. So we should be mindful of that, and no, we shouldn't be eating, 10 steaks a day and a bunch of, bacon and whatever other red meats that are, basically increasing our LDL. So hopefully you found some value in it. Please take this to heart. Add more vegetables to all the meats you eat. So I always say, golden rule that I have in my community is some red meat is okay, but most of the protein sources that you eat should be leaner. Not all, but most, okay? And you should eat a lot more vegetables and fruit than you eat now, and a lot less processed foods. Again, I know it's not earth-shattering, but for most people, this is gonna be the most life-changing thing you can do, and the action that you can take right now to lose weight and improve your health, probably better than most other things. So guys, hope you liked this video. If you did, please click the subscribe and like button below. Also, if you check out the link in the description and click there and give us your name and email, I will send you an absolutely free, so just tell us where to send it. I'm gonna send you a free video that shows you A to Z my process that I use to go from fat kid to a professional athlete to Olympic Games candidate and a coach, and the same exact process that I used to transform over 1,200 clients now in the last 14 going into the 15th year. I've never done anything else in my life. This is basically, I live and breathe this. And I'm also going to give you a free digital version of this book. This is my book that right now sells for $25 on Amazon. You're welcome to buy it. It's going to be the best book you'll ever read. I guarantee it, in this arena of health and fitness. But you don't even have to buy it. Just, check that link in the description below. I'm going to give you a free digital version of my book as well. So thank you guys for watching. See you next time.